In this second video, we'll take a more in-depth look at the functionality of the IK Multimedia Uno Synth Desktop Pro. So in terms of the layout, we have our main panel up top and our keyboard down the bottom here. On the left is our main controls, and you can go more in depth with these in the center here with the text. We also have our LED backlit screen, and this is nice for the oscilloscope and seeing things like the tuning, the LFO shapes, and more. And then down here we have our step sequencer, and you can see every individual step as well as our ARP mode. And this is where you also cycle through presets as well as songs. So we'll get to all that in a minute. Loading up a preset is really easy. All you do is press the preset button, and then from here you can cycle through all of the different presets, and then once you find one you like, you simply press it in with the value data knob here, and that's it, we're into our preset. Now, if you want to go in and change some of the parameters, you can do so by selecting which parameter you'd like to change, and then you can dive into those features here with these 4 encoders. So, for example, Oscillator 1, we can look at the actual waveform and change the shape of it, as we can see. And that's the same for the second and the third oscillator. And we can also control the sync if we want them to be in sync, either the 2 oscillators or all 3, or we can turn that off completely. To the right of the oscillator button, we have our mix, and this just controls the overall level of the individual oscillators. As we go through these different functions on the left, the text scrolls down in the sub menu here. As we can see, we're on the filter menu now, and we can control stuff like the envelope amount, the spacing, and also the different low pass, high pass modes, and the different filters that are on option here. To the right of that, we have our LFOs. Again, nice to have that screen because we can actually change the shape and see what's happening with that. We can change the rate, so we have 16ths, 8, and so on, the usual sort of things we'd expect to see. And then we can even do stuff like fade in on the LFO, so changing the attack time of the LFO. Again, we can also sync the LFO. In the bottom row, we have our filter envelope, so this is where we can actually control the ADSR. Very nice. And we also have an amp envelope. This is our overall amplification envelope for all of the oscillators. Second last here, we have the mod matrix, and here we can have up to 16 assignable mod points. And in the second menu here, we can decide which thing we would like to modulate and which source would like to be affected by the destination. And finally, as we can see in the subtext, we can control the amount of the modulation. And lastly, we have those fantastic effects, as you can see, drive, modulation, delay, and reverb. And we'll come to them later on when we can hear them in some of the presets. To take control of the sequencer on board, it has the sequencer and the arpeggiator towards the bottom right-hand corner of the interface here. As you can see, the pattern of this sequence is already pre-assigned for this chill pluck preset. So let's have a listen. And I'll turn the global volume up on the right-hand side here. I'm on my effects section here, so I can let the sequence run and start changing stuff like the effects. This is the drive. Our modulation amount, and we can also change the type of modulation. And it sounds like we've already got some space and delay echoes going on. Let's bring them all the way down. There's the patch completely flat. We also have some really nice drum and rhythm patterns on here. So if I trigger the sequencer here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to mess around with the cutoff and the resonance up here. Got the resonance all the way up there. Back that off. For such a small synth, it's impressive how fat this thing actually sounds. For example, this talking bass preset here. I'm going to head over my oscillator section, and I'm going to play around with some of the different waves. So we're going from the first wave shape, which is triangle, through to sort of a square rectangle. We're also controlling some of the pulse width there. Same with our second and third oscillator. And again, I could do these in sync. Just like that, I can turn oscillator 1 all the way off, or make it the most prominent. Go to my filter section, I can change the envelope volume, filter envelope. And that's me just altering the ADSR values. Back into the amp envelope. Now I'm getting a more of a plucky sound. So open up the decay and the sustain, get more length on those bass notes. Another nice feature with the desktop module is we get this touch strip on the side here, so we can control our mod as well as expression. That's cool for stuff like pitch bends. Once we find a preset that we like and head over to the song button, song is a chain of sequences, so it gives us a starting base for some inspiration when it comes to either rhythmical or melodic ideas. And we get a different one of these for each individual preset, so let's try this one. As you can see, I'm flying through the controls here, and it's so easy to understand how to change this even for a novice, because everything just changes simultaneously and it's all RGB lit and backlit, so you can see exactly what's changing. It's really, really well thought out, and I just think that you can start off with a preset and tweak to your heart's desire, or you can start from the ground up and get something sounding really good with this.